Now, our next guest is a fellow who was boxed in by a problem which he solved by boxing himself in. So don't go away.
Everybody.
Now let's say hello to our boxed-in gentleman.
Number one, what is your name, please?
My name is Bob Ferrone.
Number two.
My name is Bob Ferrone.
Number three.
My name is Bob Ferrone.
And I don't know if they knew each other before the show, but they must know each other very well by now. Yeah. Here is the extraordinary story of Bob Ferrone. It says, I, Bob Ferrone, boxed myself in a crate to see a girl. Why? Well, with a 4-day college vacation coming up, I yearned to see my girlfriend. Unfortunately, she was approximately 1,700 miles away, and I could not afford to fly unless, that's it, unless I was sent as freight. I decided to fly in a box labeled pottery, so the airlines would have to handle me with care. Then a friend of mine wanted to go along too. Okay, I said, but we can't be pottery, we weigh too much. We'll be Honda racing motorcycles. And so off we went. For nearly 7 hours, we sat in an old piano crate facing each other in total darkness. Sometimes straight up, sometimes on our side, but fortunately, never upside down. When we landed, a friend picked us up in a U-Haul. Finally, uncrated and unbowed, I went to see my lady fair. And she must have appreciated the effort I made because later on, she married me. Signed, Bob Ferrone. I think any girl would have to appreciate a spot like this, Peggy. Well,
I think it's adorable.
you just sitting there with that smarmy look on your face.
I really think that that's really swell. Number one, since you were such expensive things, Honda motorcycle bikes or whatever, so nobody tried to steal you?
No.
Nobody did?
No one did.
Number three, were you handled with care?
Pretty much so. I would say sometimes we tilted one way or another.
But now, how long before they put you up into the plane? I mean, how long did you sit on the ground just being a Honda motorcycle before you got up in the plane?
Well, I would say when we started off, we were in the box, I would say before we got on, maybe 15, 20 minutes. But at the other end, we were there for much longer.
But that's really terrific. You didn't dare break out at the other end. You had to wait till you got really carted away?
Very much so.
What would they have done, number three, at the other end if you had suddenly popped out?
I don't know.
Number two, what was the weather like when you flew this flight?
It's beautiful.
Well, was it winter? Well, number one, I thought that where they put the baggage was not, you could freeze to death down there.
Well, it's pressurized just like the passenger compartment. It's the same atmospheric conditions, the same temperature and the same pressure.
Number one, were there any animals down there with you, like dogs or cats or lions?
No, no.
You were just ordinary Honda motorcycles.
Right.
All those motorcycles together. Bill?
Hey, Bob, it's a sensational idea. It was 1,700 miles. How much did it cost to have yourself shipped as a motorcycle to where your girl was? Number three.
I think it was about 30, 40 bucks, somewhere around there.
And how much would it have cost if you had gone as a passenger?
It would have been about 100.
That's a pretty good idea.
Gee, I don't...
When you got married, where were you shipped on your honeymoon, Bob? Not a bad... No, actually, it's pretty... Number one, you went with a friend of yours in this box for 7 or 8 hours, is that right?
Right.
What did you talk about in the box? Or did you have to be quiet? Was there anyone down there near you?
No, we brought a radio, which it didn't work, and we talked, and we both bought a couple things to read, but it was sort of jumpy.
Yeah, I guess so. Number two, you mentioned it was pressurized down there where you were. Did you make very positive that you knew it was going to be pressurized and reasonably warm before you did that?
Well, I called up using an assumed voice, and I called up and I asked if I could ship an animal in a cage. And they said it would be okay. The animal would survive, the same conditions that the people was in.
I see.
All righty, and that takes us please to Kitty.
It's fascinating. Number one, did you ever read Caesar and Cleopatra by Shakespeare?
No, I didn't.
That's not how you got the idea?
No, no.
Well, Cleopatra had herself shipped into Caesar wrapped in a rug.
Well, I just wanted to go someplace, and it was a cheap way to go. So.
Number 2, who actually put you on the who put you into the airport when you were already in the crate?
That's a good question. We had friends from the campus, and they took us down in a pickup truck to the airport and gave us to the freight people at the airport.
Yeah, I see. Number 3, were you insured?
I should have been. I'm worth a lot. I know that.
Number 1, what happened to your friend? Did he get married too?
No, he's still single.
He's still in the box.
And Tom Kennedy, what do you want to know?
Well, about that friend, what was her name? No, number 1, how can you read if you're in a crate?
Oh, well, it was, the crate is pretty high. I mean, we were sitting down and we had flashlights.
The crate is pretty high.
Well, I mean, we were sitting down and we had about
And you had
3.5
flashlights,
feet.
so that's the
Right.
answer. Number 2, have you heard from the airlines since this incident?
Well, now I'm sure that we'll hear from the airlines.
And number 3, did you have any padding in that? How did you dress?
Well, I got in after a gymnastics class, but I sat on my clothes. We laid them down on the bottom cushion.
Okay, and number 2, did you go from east to west or west to east?
Well, actually from Denver Airport to Philadelphia International Airport by way of Chicago.
And number 1, what time of year was that?
There was no...
It was ding-dong time. Bell rang. No more questions. Mark the ballots based on the questions you have asked. Our choice is number 1, or number 2, or number 3. And Miss Cass, please.
Well, they're all very nice and everything, but the one that would fit the most into the box is very lithe, slim number 1, so I voted for him. I wouldn't mind seeing him coming out of the box at the airport.
Nice uncrating job. You got a 1 going there, and Bill Cullen.
That's funny. I picture number 3 as the one most likely to be found in a packing crate with a friend, reading a book by a flashlight, so I pick number 3.
1 on both ends, and Kitty.
That's funny. I picked number 2.
That's your privilege. That's the name of the game. We're all the way across the board. Tom Kennedy visiting is going to
there's no
cast
doubt. There's no doubt.
huh?
Look at that look on number 3. I've never seen a more devilish look in all my life. It's got to be him. He's got that kind of a sense of humor.
You're positive, Tom.
No doubt about it.
All right. Now, I think it's only right that Bob's wife, who was the inspiration for this thing, comes out here and identifies her husband. Maybe by looking at her, you can tell. You know, sort of pair them up in your mind.
Crazy, crazy.
Huh? Well, let's call on Mrs. Nancy Farone right now. Nancy, come out. You recognize him, you know.
Oh, there's Nancy.
Number
That's-
1.
Oh, son. Very good job, all up and down the board there. Let's find out about our friends. Number 1, what's your real name? What do you do?
My name is David Summers, and I run a boarding house on the east side of Manhattan.
How about that? Great. Number 2, sir. What is your real name? What do you
My
do?
name is Anton J. Makovsky, and I'm a freelance writer and photographer, and I live in New York and Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, and I just came back from Europe, but not in a box, in the passenger compartment.
Now, Nancy and Bob, I don't want to get you in any trouble, but I was amazed that nobody on the panel asked you the name of the airline upon whom you perpetrated this romantic fraud.
Do you really want to know?
Yeah, I don't insist upon
Okay, it
knowing.
was American Airlines.
And is this the first that American Airlines is hearing about this?
I guess so. I certainly hope so.
Well, friends, I tell you what, now we don't want anybody getting sore at this.
Right.
All together, audience, let's all together say American Airlines is a swell airline. All together. American Airlines is a swell airline. Might get you out of trouble. I don't know. Bob, Nancy, friends, thank you very much for being with us. Take care. You know, it just occurred to me that a lot of romantic young people might think, or stingy old men might figure out that it's a good thing to do to travel this way, send yourself by freight. I may be wrong, but in the case that a plane gets into trouble and has to reduce weight, first thing you do is to throw off the excess fuel, then they throw out the baggage.
And then they throw out the passengers.
Then they throw out
Yeah,
the
right.
passengers and...
Tough day. okay, Mom.
He's kidding.
No, but it's not a smart thing to do. He's a nice guy, but he got away with it. But don't try it. We'll see you again real soon.
Our central characters today will receive a lovely dress from Sue Brett, the House of Many Moods. Sue Brett dresses and ensembles that create excitement and fit to perfection. Promotional consideration provided by Best Western Motels, the nation's largest chain of 1,200 fine owner-operated motels in 900 cities from coast to coast.
Each weeknight, all new Three's a Crowd tackles sensitive issues,
I'm gonna say her butt and his butt.
reveals explosive habits,
Melissa, what's the most macho thing you do?
I burp and fart.
and explores the lost art of conversation.
We talk during sex all the time. Are you kidding me?
No, those are grunts. Those are grunts.
Join host Alan Thicke
Game's so simple, even I could host it.
and find out who knows you best. All new Three's a Crowd tonight, 9:30 Eastern, 6:30 Pacific, only on Game Show Network.